Let's talk Porsche, specifically the 997-911, the one that I have. So, in this video I'm going to cover why did I buy it against other competitors, what's the cost over a 3-year span of me owning this car, and ultimately, do I even like it? Let's dive right in. Why did I choose to buy this car? Well, first things first, I didn't really want a Mazda Miata. I know Miata is always the answer, not to me. So within that, I wanted something that was a two-door car, something with a hard top. I'm not really a convertible guy. I don't really want a convertible. And so within that, that really just limited my options to a couple of different things when I purchased the car in 2021. And I didn't want to spend really over $40,000 at that point. Most importantly, when I was trying to buy something, I wanted a manual transmission. It had to have a manual transmission. I have never really drove one before, but at the same point, what's the point of a sports car if you don't have the ability to kind of shift your own gears? So things I compared it to: an Aston Martin Vantage V8. Yes, at the time in 2021, there was several of those as options for a hardtop V8 Vantage. I really, really love this car, and I just wanted it so bad. V8, 420 horsepower, two-seater, so that was sort of sketch. I kind of wanted at least like the 2.2 layout, just in case I needed the space. The thing is, when I was looking at the Vantage V8, it really did check all of the check marks that I was looking into for purchasing a car like this. I know Daddy Doug says it's one of the most reliable cars that you could buy, but the other thing is I didn't really want to chance it with parts. Yes, there's another cat back there, but my deciding factor of not choosing the Vantage V8 was purely insurance. It was nearly triple the amount of a 911. That doesn't make any sense, but when it got to the point where I was pre-approved for a car loan, I looked into looking at a Vantage V8, went through all the process, and by the time I went to check how much the insurance cost and saw that and my jaw dropped, that's when I said, you know what, let's go back to the drawing board. So what other options did I look for? The BMW E46 M3, of course. My cousin owned one of these in Laguna Seca Blue. It is one of the most beautiful looking cars I've ever seen. The design is brilliant, it's simplistic, it looks beefy, and it just, I think it has a very nice timeless design to it. I really do. It did have the 2.2 layout. It was a two-door sports car, 6-speed manual gearbox, 333 horsepower, something around there. And the thing of why I did not get it, look up E46 issues. Vanos, reliability, these are basically keywords next to Google when they pop up. I just didn't want to deal with it. So if I'm buying something that I want to enjoy, then I actually want to enjoy it and not have it spend its entire life in the shop. So can you buy one and it's okay? Yeah, of course you can. I mean, it's fine. I just didn't want to deal with the hassle. I didn't want to deal with the headache. And overall, I'm okay with that decision. The only other car that I thought of at that point is a 911. Now, in all honesty, when I was looking at cars, I didn't really even think about the 911 to begin with. This was, again, 3 years ago before everybody and their mother started buying Porsches, but when I did look into it, I think I timed the market correctly, and there was one result with a 6-speed gearbox around 40,000 miles within the Los Angeles area. And I went to go see it because it was ironically like 3 miles away from my house. It was a 2-owner car, 2006 model, and it had around 78,000 miles on it already, or something like that. It was under 80. $41,000. 1,000 over my budget. So I drove over there. As soon as I saw the ad, I called the guy up, looked at it, drove over there, and I said, yeah, that's the one. That this is the car to buy. It was pristine. He took very good care of it, and it did not hurt the fact that he had a GT3 RS in his garage as well. So he was done with the car and he found another one to upgrade with, and it was mine. And the thing about the 997 base is, when I was researching it, it was 6-speed gearbox, 3.6 liter boxer engine, 2+2 layout, about 325 horsepower, less than the BMW E46, but pretty much the same thing. And the issues, however, were bore scoring and the IMS bearing. The IMS failure, I'm not really sure exactly how they check that when you're buying something. I think really it's just preventative maintenance if it's been done. Mine has not. But if I recall correctly, the company that does the IMS bearing aftermarket, they say and they state on their website that if the car is a 2006 model year, it has less than a 1% failure on anything of that going forward. So the company that makes the IMS bearing aftermarket part said that in their website. So I took that as a sign of saying, you know what, I'm just going to take a shot, and I think it's okay. So even it hasn't been touched, but I'm going to trust that the people who are making this part know what they're talking about. So for that, I think it's fine. The other thing about the bore scoring, there's a show called Wheeler Dealers. If nobody has ever seen this show, I highly guarantee watching this episode before you buy a 997. So a mechanic in that show buys a 997 911 with bore scoring. So when he first got the car and they were checking it out, he noticed there were soots in the right tailpipe. And he said in that episode, that is one of the things to look out for when you have a bore scoring issue with that car. I took that and I purchased the car. And I asked the guy if he can meet me halfway between my purchase price. So I ended up getting it for $40,500. So what are the costs like so far with the 911, 997? First month of owning it, the battery died. I got inside the car, I thought I bought a total dud, and I was very worried, but as soon as I got in, started the key, nothing worked, and I thought it was a huge electrical issue. Turned out to be the battery. $120 right there to fix it. Oil changes, I did them myself, $120. Oil filters, something like that, just for the parts, so $280. New brake pads, changed them myself, $150 for all the brake pads. Gear oil changed. I took this actually to an independent mechanic, so I did the gear oil, $120 again. Tires for this car, I know that there's a lot of range summer tires and everything. I live in Los Angeles. I will never buy winter tires ever. So for this car, I purchased the Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. And I've run Michelin on different other cars. Michelin are great. I've heard awesome things about these tires. And I was right. They have an awesome amount of grip. You can turn just in your neighborhood alone at around 20 miles an hour on a sharp curve, and you'll feel that grip and it stays on that road. So it's a fantastic tire. I highly recommend it, and it works great. $1,500. The next job that I had actually recently when I started recording this video was the spark plugs and ignition coils. That cost about $300 in parts. So after 3 years of ownership, what does that amount to? $2,330. I honestly don't think it's that bad. Most of these things that I've been changing are either regular maintenance that you have to do, or it's just due because of the fact that it's an 18-year-old car. Within that, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's a lot to keep it up. And if you know what you're looking for and you don't go to a dealership to do maintenance, then you should be okay. And for most of the parts, you could probably just do it yourself if you kind of watch a couple of YouTube videos like I did. Which brings me to my last thing. So, do I actually like this car? After 3 years of ownership, do I actually like it? I will make this as clear as possible. Yes. Like, this is one of the best cars you can own. I don't see myself not driving it every day, and I drive it every day. It's incredibly rewarding. It's an awesome experience, and to just get into it and commute to work makes you want to actually commute to work. So, return to office? Yeah, let's do it, because I'm driving over there. And regarding it as a daily driver, I've taken this thing to Costco and loaded it up, and everything fits in there pretty snug, but it does it. Same thing as my 4Runner. It actually gets better gas mileage than my 4Runner, about 15, 16 in the city, around 22, 24 in the highway, so that's really not bad. My 4Runner gets significantly less, about 13 and 18, something like that. The manual transmission, amazingly responsive. I think one of my favorite parts of this car, though, is that it just feels so zippy. So when you're sitting in traffic and you want to overtake somebody, you can do it, and it's fantastic. And again, if you don't have a passenger with you, you kind of can do it at your own speed, your own pace, and kind of just go for it. So it's been an awesome car as a daily driver, especially in California and Los Angeles, where you do have twisty, turny roads that you could take advantage of just driving to work. And for that, it's been an awesome experience. I really love it. I would say, honestly, it's one of the best daily drivers you could probably get if you're not hauling kids or having to carpool anywhere. Just being in it alone and traveling at your own pace, it's amazing. So between the Carrera S, Carrera 4S, I don't know, just adding anything else, between the S and the base model that I have, I really don't care. It's probably milliseconds off of a timing between your 0 to 60. And in all honesty, you're going to get smoked by a Tesla anyway. So 0 to 60 is becoming a lot more obsolete with electric cars, because at some point in time, you're just going to get passed up by a Hyundai. So, there's really no point. But that's my sort of engagement with the base model. It does just as good as everything else. Because it's a base, I don't really feel bad about daily driving it. It's not going to be babied. I get to enjoy it. The cool thing about the 997.1 is it just became a Porsche Classic by Porsche. So that means that they're supporting it with different parts. They're always going to supply it with parts. It has the new functional radio, the PCCM Plus, which I have in another video. That itself updates the car, and I truly do not need another car at this moment or a desire to upgrade at all. Look, the car isn't perfect, but I don't expect it to be, and nothing really is perfect. The base model Carrera, I would summarize it as, if you're looking to get into Porsche and you have a budget and you just want something that you can enjoy and not having to worry about it, the 997.1 Carrera base model is the way to go. I daily drive this car. I don't care really if anybody puts a paint chip on it because their kid sucks at opening doors. It's gonna happen, but at the end of the day, I still get to enjoy it. It's still a great looking car, and I wouldn't change it for anything else. And that's exactly why I would highly recommend not overlooking the 997.1 base model. If you found this helpful, or you hate me, please like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts, opinions, comments, or if you hate the 997.1. It doesn't really matter. I'd love to hear all of it. But really, again, thank you all for watching, and see you next video.